Hey folks, Tim Plummer here. I am answering a question that came into the um, Lightroom and Photoshop Facebook group. It's actually a wonderful group, and if you're a member of Facebook and you're seeing this and you didn't see this on Facebook, I would recommend asking to join the group. There's lively discussion and a lot of good topics that are good for beginners all the way up to experts, and there's even a little debate there. In fact, one of the questions that came up resulted in the debate that sort of led me to this little tutorial. The question was about resolution and how do you handle resolution coming into Photoshop from a digital image that was shot off a camera, specifically a raw image. And so what I wanted to do is try to explain resolution a little bit so that I can help you understand how to make a decision about the setting that you should choose. And I'm going to show you in Photoshop and in Lightroom how to set these, but I also want to, before I do that, I also want to show you kind of what resolution is all about so that you have an understanding of the choice that you make so that you can make a better informed choice, because frankly you'll get a lot of opinion and the opinions are really born of people's individual experiences and they may not apply to you. So first off, let's consider resolution as a concept, and I'll show you the best way to start working with resolution to get your head around it in Photoshop. This should also work in Photoshop Elements as well, so that and frankly just about any pixel-based photo editor is going to have some ability to work with resolution. So to get there, what I'm first going to do is go over here to Image, Image Size, and what I have is an image that I've opened. It's a very large image. You can see that it's about 60 megabytes, 5600 by 3700 pixels. So that's the pixel dimensions of the image. And it's also a measure of resolution, because what it's telling you is how many pixels are in the image. Along the long edge, there are 5,000 pixels. Along the short edge, there are 3,700 pixels. Now, what that means to the image is that that's how much resolution you have to work with. That is measured in two different ways that play against each other. And so this is where the conversation starts, or started in the Facebook group. So the first thing that I want to point out is that when playing around with resolution this way, normally when you open the image size dialog box, as I've done, resample is probably going to be selected. So let's turn that off, because I'm not actually going to be throwing away pixels or trying to add pixels. I just want to work with the pixels as they exist. The measure of resolution here is actually a determination of the size of each pixel. In this case, what I'm saying is that each pixel in this image is 1/240th of an inch wide and tall, because they're square. So if I line 240 of them up, that's going to be an inch. If I divide 5616 by 240, that will tell me how many inches that photo is. But I don't need to do that because Photoshop is doing that math for me. The answer is 23.4 inches. The height is 15.6 inches. Now, if I start to change resolution, so let's say I change the resolution. Let's say I decide that the resolution of this file is too small, so I want to increase the resolution. Watch what happens. I'm going to type in 300. Notice that my width and height values have shrunk. And that's because by simply shrinking the size of each pixel, they're still the same number of pixels, it's just they take up less amount of space. So for practical purposes, if you are on the phone with your print vendor and you say, or they say to you, well, the maximum, the minimum resolution that you can use is 300, then the maximum width and height that you're going to be able to print this image in that situation is 18 inches by 12 inches, 18 and some change, 12 and some change. So you might think, well, what if I want to make this bigger? Well, okay, I'm going to make this bigger. I really need this to be 24 inches by 16 inches. Well, notice that my resolution value has had to drop, because by expanding the image, what I've actually done is I've increased each pixel's size. Why is that an issue? Well, because the larger a pixel is, the more likely it is that when I print it, I'm going to be able to see it, especially along diagonals. I'll get that stair-stepping effect. So when choosing a workflow into Photoshop, either from Lightroom or from the Camera Raw module inside Photoshop, the pixel resolution value that you set is almost irrelevant, because you can come into Photoshop and change it. It's just you have to realize that you're going to get different width and height values. But the other thing is that when you bring a photograph in to Photoshop, or you bring it over from Lightroom, there is no dimension. There's no width and height value associated with it. So really what you're going to do is you're going to set a resolution value based on what you think the printing, your print vendor is going to require. But you're still going to want to open it up to find out what the physical dimensions of the image are so that you can make a determination as to whether or not you're going to be able to print that. Now, there's a temptation that you're going to run into, and that is to say, well, what if I just click resample image? And now I can resample. So if your print vendor says, for some weird reason, 350 pixels per inch is the minimum that I can give you, I can type that in, and look, I still got the same value. Well, maybe, but you're still going to have a quality hit, because what Photoshop is now going to do, instead of actually changing the size of the pixels only, it's actually going to change the size of the pixels, making them all a little smaller. But it's going to leave white space in between them and fill that white space in with what it thinks should be there. And in general, if you go up a little bit, so if I went up to 320 pixels per inch, I might not notice the quality. In fact, this little preview can kind of show me what I can expect from that. And I'm not seeing a ton of quality issues, so I might get away with that. But the problem with doing that is that once you sort of open that Pandora's box, the temptation to increase that and increase it grows, especially if you're not careful enough to really inspect your image to see the result. Now I can see, and you might not be able to see in the video, but I can see a lot of real speckling here as a result of trying to increase that or resample that. So the resolution of an image matters only in that it will help you to determine the final dimensions, width and height in inches of your image. And so when you bring something into Photoshop, a Camera Raw image into Photoshop, you're going to have the ability to change that. So let me show you where that happens, and then I'll explain what I recommend for a setting, but hopefully that little show and tell about resolution will help you to understand why I'm making the choices that I'm making. So I'm going to choose File. I've got this is a Camera Raw file that I want to open. That will trigger the Camera Raw module to launch. Nope. Actually, it won't, because I've got that file open. So let me close that. So I'm not going to save that. And now let me do it again, because Photoshop is sitting there thinking, oh, dummy, you haven't opened. Let me reopen it. There we go. Now I've got the Camera Raw module. Down here at the bottom is where I'm going to make my choices. So I'll click here. And now my workflow options allow me to choose a resolution. So I can choose 240, and that's the default. And I think that's just chosen because that's a good, reasonable number for you. I'm not going to choose resize to fit, because it's not here that I want to play around with the image sizing. What I'm going to do is just choose a resolution number. So I'm going to leave it 240, but if I want, I can set it to 300. Click OK. Select Open Image. And now I've got an image that will be set to 350 pixels per inch. So I'll go to Image, Image Size. I'm going to turn resampling off. It's set to 300 pixels per inch. It has set the width and height dimensions for me based on my pixel resolution, and I'm good to go. If I need to, if I know that I have the ability to print at a lower resolution, if my print vendor says, yeah, 240 is plenty, I can type that in and note that my image size has gotten bigger, so I can print it on a larger canvas at the lower resolution. Click OK. Nothing changes, except that Photoshop and the file will inform my print vendor that this is an image that is 24 by whatever the height value was. Now let me just jump quickly over to Lightroom and show you how to handle Lightroom. Because Lightroom Preferences, and I've got this open, so I've chosen Lightroom Preferences to get to this dialog box. I've got External Editing chosen. I'm going to open my files. I generally open my files as PSD. You can choose TIFF if you want. I just stick with that. I'm going to recommend leaving ProPhoto RGB or Adobe RGB as color space, and I'll actually do a little tutorial on that next. Bit depth, I like to leave it at 16 bits per component. If you, for some reason, feel you need to go to 8 bits, you can. Again, I'm going to do a little tutorial on those two next. But here's the resolution value. So if you want to leave this at 2, if you feel like you need the extra resolution, or if you feel like you want to change the resolution, you go ahead. But again, you're not actually adding or deleting pixels. All you're saying is that the file will be thought of as a larger file. or a smaller file. And because in Photoshop I can quickly adjust that, I leave it set to 240. And that way when I go from Lightroom into Photoshop, it will move it over and turn it into, or it will set it at 240 pixels per inch. So that's just a little tutorial. I hope this helps. If not, then by all means, post questions in the Facebook group where this little tutorial has been posted, and look forward to hearing from you and helping you to answer some more of these questions. Thanks.